From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to CreatureGuide Live Daily News. I will be having random articles thrown at me that I have not seen, so let's dive into the animal news of the day. From news.mongabay.com, let's see what we have here. Scientists studying the world's largest river turtles, a South American species that grows to a length of nearly a meter or 3 feet, technically 3.3 feet, have found the largest nesting aggregation ever recorded. Using drones to conduct a population survey in the western Brazilian Amazon, researchers recorded a nesting area of the endangered giant South American river turtle, Podocnemis expansa, with roughly 41,000 adult female turtles. Well, compared to certain animals we've been talking about recently, this is a decent number. The nesting site is on the largest sandbank of the Guapore River, which forms part of the border between Brazil and Bolivia. So I believe this is towards southwestern Brazil. The South American river turtle can reach somewhere around 200 pounds or a little over 90 kilograms. We knew it was an important area, but we didn't have the full picture of the size. Ferreira said the survey was an undercount of the full region's turtle population since five other smaller nearby beaches were not included, nor were young or male turtles counted. Wow. Okay. We have no idea. This could be less than, this could be around half the population or less. It's not mentioning even the young ones. The turtle population in the area has been growing since at least 2014. Well, that's good to hear considering. And, well, actually, there have been quite a few small protected areas in Brazil that have been seeing wildlife numbers at least in the last couple of decades. A win that Ferreira attributes to the work of the Brazilian government's 40-year-old Amazon River Turtle Conservation Program in collaboration with local communities. So I believe that's another species when referring to the Amazon river turtle. There's over 360 different species of turtle throughout the world, spread out through two different orders of turtle. There's a side neck turtles in one order, and then there's about six or seven other different types of turtle in the other order of these reptiles. Let's see. So that's also not including prehistoric turtles, but those are long gone now. For this study, scientists tested three different methods of counting turtles
Thank you for
using.
that. It's nice to know that the prehistoric turtles are long gone.
Yeah, well, it's also that most of them were not closely related. Once you started hitting, I think, some part of the late Cretaceous and then into the Paleocene and Eocene epoch, so over 60 million years ago, you start reaching or finding relatives. You start finding closer relatives of today's turtles. But when you're back in the Jurassic period, so over 170 million years ago, those turtles were very far off in the family tree from today's turtles, um, or tortoises, which are actually quite closely related to many different types of turtles today. So let's see, where were we? Using only on the ground counting, they logged around 16,000 turtles. And using only drones, actually, that's quite a few turtles. Wow. And using only drones, the scientists counted nearly 79,000, with some turtles likely double or triple counted as they move through the sand. Yeah, that can occur. So let's see. So the scientists say a third approach they developed produced a more accurate estimate of 41,000. They collected data using both on the ground tracking, marking some of the turtles to track movement, and zigzag drone surveys. They then processed the data with mathematical models that account for the movement of turtles. So there's definitely a lot of, it's quite a process when it comes to just counting these animals. It's probably also occurring at certain times of the year, maybe when they're coming over to nest, I'm guessing, or possibly breed in some situations. The results of the study are useful for scientists who track fluctuations in turtle populations, allowing them to understand if threats are mounting or if conservation efforts are working. These populations are highly threatened by illegal commerce. There is a huge difference between removing one or two turtles,
Did you say commerce?
the commerce, removing one or two turtles from the river to eat, and the illegal commerce. The decline of river turtle populations, she added, threatens food security for riverine communities. Turtle meat has been an important part of local diets. Okay. Um, okay, what?
Wait,
We
have you ever eaten turtle?
no. I've heard about turtle soup, but I think with all the problems of certain populations of turtles, you could say there's like the invasive, red-eared sliders from North America. But even then, when you've adopted, baby red-eared sliders, you don't really want to um, eat them all of a sudden. So, uh, or definitely, I don't really have much of an interest. We know that if we don't do something, these animals will disappear because in many areas their numbers are already diminishing. Okay, well, it's a bit of a question, I think, with the amount of these South American river turtles that are occurring. So, is their population increasing? Is it decreasing? It sounds like it's at least stable at the moment, but this was also back in 2015. So, who knows at this point? This actually occurs with many species of animals, with many estimates occurring somewhere between 10 to 20 years ago. And like what we saw with the wildebeest last time, you could still have it with different populations still having the same number since the 1970s. Okay, so moving on to prehistoric. From Sci News, paleontologists identify new species of Triassic dinosaur. Well, this is good to hear. It's always exciting to hear that a new species of dinosaur from the Triassic has been discovered. A large jaw of a predatory archosaur species. So, this is the group of reptiles in which the dinosaurs and the birds, crocodiles, all of the true crocodilians, and then the crocodilomorphs derived from. Also, specifically, archosauromorphs. Species from the latest Triassic of South Wales. So, this is just east of England, named Zenklodon cabrensis, has long intrigued paleontologists. Could it be the oldest large theropod dinosaur? Oh, okay. So this is okay. This is pretty exciting. In a new study, paleontologists from the University of Bristol and the National Museum Cardiff reanalyzed the specimen based on a 3D digital reconstruction. They confirmed first that it is indeed the latest Triassic in age, most likely extracted from sandstones of the Kotham member of the Lil Stock Formation. Anatomically, the specimen shows features of theropod dinosaurs and likely represents a species of early neotheropod dinosaur named Newtonsaurus cambrensis. So, neotheropod, it's not very specific. There are a wide range of different groups of the neotheropods. So, I'm going to guess it could be a relative of the herosaurs. Wow, that is a very well intact jawbone. And over here as well. This looks really good. The two separate blocks containing the jaw impression of Newtonsaurus cambrensis. This specimen has been referred to many times in scientific papers, but had yet to be successfully identified. We were not even sure whether it was a dinosaur. It was named Zenklodon cambrensis by Edwin Tooley Newton in 1899. Oh, wow. But we knew the name Zenklodon has been abandoned as referring to a broad variety of early reptiles. I have not heard of Zenklodon despite it being around for 100 and what, 20 years? Therefore, we name it after Newton, calling it Newtonsaurus. It is different from all other dinosaurs from around that time and requires a distinctive name. Newtonsaurus cambrensis roamed our planet around 202 million years ago during the latest Triassic period. And this is around like the last million years of the Triassic. The fossil was found at the locality of Stormy Down near Bridgend, Wales, the United Kingdom. This specimen is the natural mold of a left jaw, showing both the interior and exterior surfaces. The natural molds of the inner and outer faces of the jawbone show amazing detail.
Is there a Wales in Australia?
Are there whales in Australia?
Is there a Wales?
Yes. Am I? No, it's the UK here.
Yeah, I was just asking if one existed in Australia also.
Yeah, there's I think there's a city in Wales in Australia. The natural molds of the inner and outer faces of the jawbone show amazing detail. Every groove, ridge, tooth, and even the serrations along the edges of the teeth. We decided to use digital photography to make a 3D model. We began by surface scanning the fossil using photogrammetry. Once we had our digital scan, we then inverted it, essentially giving us a digital negative of the mold. It was then a simple case of fusing the two sides together and analyzing the anatomy from there. The digital, okay, I would like to know. Okay, we're almost there. The digital reconstruction we have extracted from the specimen gives a much better idea of what the original structure of the bone would have looked like. Now that the fossil could be studied, the team was able to use its anatomy to piece together its position in the reptile family tree. Most crucially, whether it was a dinosaur or not. We can now confirm that this specimen very likely belonged to a large predatory theropod dinosaur that roamed the shores of South Wales during the latest Triassic. Oh, this isn't one of the first theropods. This is far after animals like Eoraptor, Eodromius, different species of Herrerasaur, Coelophysid. This is it wasn't hitting me. I'm like, wait a second. I really want to know about this animal. Like, what is this early theropod? And well, compared to most, you could say, especially before the Jurassic. But no, this is a later species. But let's see how large he is. It has some definite unique dinosaur features in the emplacement of the teeth, and it is a theropod, a predatory flesh-eating dinosaur. Otherwise, it sits near the origins of both major divisions of theropodae, the Coelophysoideae, the Everostra. Most unexpected, so these are all groups of Neotheropoda. Most unexpected is the size of the animal. The preserved jawbone is 28 centimeters long, and that is just the front half. So originally, the jawbone was 60 centimeters long, corresponding to a dinosaur with a body length of 5 to 7 meters. So this is somewhere between 17 to 22 feet in length. So this is an immense animal for 202 million years ago, especially also for whales. This is incredible. The United Kingdom had one of the largest, if not the largest, theropods. Wales, UK. Um, yeah, at this point, this is immense. I'm guessing this animal could have weighed more than a ton, or over 2,000 pounds, 1,000 kilograms. This is unusually large for a Triassic theropod, most of which were half the size or smaller. That
So
is
he'd
very
make
true.
for a good meal.
Um, yeah, but he's probably gonna have like a chicken sort of texture and quite lean. But I could be wrong. Maybe it's more like a pheasant. Anyway, these historical specimens are vitally important in paleontology and often yield new and exciting results, even if they have been sitting in collections for years. Oh, their eggs would have been fine. The Victorians were fascinated by the fossil record and prospected all across the UK for fossils. On top of this, the redescription of Newtonsaurus cambrensis once again highlights the significance of whales in paleontological research. These Triassic beds are rare worldwide, and yet there are several across Wales. There might be very well another dinosaur waiting to be discovered. It's really good to hear that we have a large theropod within this region. It's a bit of a question, though, what specific family of theropod Newton source belongs to. So it's really good to hear this. Well, we have the length, we still don't have an estimated weight. Some theropod dinosaurs were much more lightly built than others. So he might have weighed much less than 2,000 pounds. Who knows? But um, it'd also be good. It would be great to hear like what family is it, Dilophosaur. Anyway, let's move on to the next article. Okay, from Science News, new marsupial species discovered in Australia, named Betongia hakarai, the newly discovered species of woyli. Okay, so there are actually different species of woyli marsupial that exist today over in Australia, and at least I think a couple species are slightly increasing in population. Is so this one's already likely extinct. So no, this is not a mouse. Though there are different species of rodents native to Australia today. Even though many tend to view Australia as marsupial only when referring to mammals, there are different species of native rodents. And then you have to remember there's a native dingo. So, woilies are ecosystem engineers capable of turning over several tons of earth each year in search for their favorite mushroom treats. Oh, yeah. Woilies um, have a high preference for different species of fungi. In fact, like over 90% of their diet, depending on the species, is just the fungi. I don't even believe in many cases they need to supplement it with insects. They can still reproduce. The cute kangaroo relatives, very distant relatives of kangaroos. Native to Western Australia, are the country's most translocated mammal because they are moved as part of conservation efforts to save the critically endangered species. The new research, the authors analyzed fossils from caves of the Null Arbor in southwest Australia. They identified a completely new species as well as two new subspecies of woilies. The discovery unlocked vital clues about the diversity of woilies, also known as brush-tailed betong. Okay, well, wait, did I just confuse woilies with because betongs are more close related to kangaroos? Anyway, woilies are critically endangered okay, let's hold on. In this new research, we've named a completely new species. No, we already said that. Okay. Um, our results split the critically endangered woilie into two living subspecies, which is very important for conservation when we're considering breeding and translocation initiatives to increase size and fitness of
Wait,
populations.
is this thing extinct or not?
Yeah,
It doesn't sound like it.
the one on top, I believe, specifically Batongia Hakara, Hakarai is possibly, but I'm guessing.
It doesn't sound like
Yeah,
it
it doesn't
is.
sound fossil though. Wait a
Mm-mm.
second.
But it
So
says body fossil material.
we use bone measurements to see woilies and the number of species. This research confirmed several distinct species and expanded the known diversity of woilies by measuring skull and body fossil material that had previously not been looked at in detail. Yeah, I'm still confused. There are different species of woilie in existence. Oh, wait. What we found through this research. Okay, it's nothing important. Okay, ready for the next article. I don't know what to make of these woilies. Okay, interesting. Let's see what they say. The dodo.com. Man leaving for work finds dozens of wild babies all over his driveway. They were coming in every direction. When Megan Doyle's husband, Tom, began calling her one morning, she was confused. She had thought he was leaving for work, but on his way out of the garage, I was about to say garbage, he accidentally stumbled into a mini emergency. Littered across the couple's driveway were dozens upon dozens of baby snapping turtles, all in need of a little assistance. Okay, that's interesting.
Okay, I didn't double turtle this intentionally. I didn't even read it. I just liked what
Well,
it
it's a
said.
different turtle too. I'm wondering if they're part of some rescue organization. My first reaction was excitement. I have always loved turtles, and seeing so many tiny babies was heartwarming and so cute. The excitement quickly turned into a little bit of a panic as the couple began trying to gather up all of the babies and then realized just how many there actually were. At first, they thought the babies were just scattered over the driveway, but then they discovered they were also in the grass, on the back patio, and they even found a few in the garage. Oh, did they pack them up in the box? That's strange. I wonder where they are. We checked around the yard for nests, but couldn't locate one. They were coming from every direction, it seemed, so it wasn't clear where their initial starting point was. The couple live on the corner of a busy road and often see wildlife who have been hit by cars, and they wanted to make sure that didn't happen to any of the baby turtles. They would just be, smushed reptile. They gathered them all up as best they could and placed them in a box, then carried the box to a nearby pond to set them free. When we got to the pond, we placed them into the mud at the water's edge, and they immediately knew what to do. They headed into the water, with most of them swimming away and a few digging into the mud to hide. Yeah, I mean, that's what I expected these turtles. They're quite They have a lot of instinct. They know exactly what to feed on, most likely feeding on different species of probably going after worms in many instances, maybe small fish. But these worms, probably not worms, these turtles consistently or most of the time they need to have access to water because different species of turtles, um, if they don't have access to water within somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour, they will dehydrate themselves to death, and they will no longer be able to produce saliva in order to um, simply swallow or just break down the worms.
It's that fast?
It's very quick, especially like with, for instance, red-eared sliders in North America, different types of most aquatic turtles. The
How do we find redder sliders in the forest?
They're moving from waterways. Well, also the adults can survive for a lot longer without the water, but at least with youngsters, in a very short amount of
Can they
time.
smell water?
I believe so. It's probably why how they're able to move from place to place is, yeah, they're able to smell. I'm not so sure on how sensitive also differs on the species of turtle, but their sense of smell is, or the olfactory nerve of their brain. The couple watched as the 30 or so babies they collected settled into their new home. Nope. Then they headed back to the house and immediately found seven more babies waiting for them in the driveway. Well, on the bright side, this was a successful um, hatching scenario, but it's just pretty overwhelming for the couple. They later found six more, bringing the total to 43 baby snapping turtles rescued and rehomed. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they can see. Okay. Well, yeah, it's good to see that they immediately had access to some natural habitat. So hopefully they'll be able to start immediately feeding on worms, fish, insects, maybe even small amphibians. In some cases, even small like ducklings. So anyway, let's move on to the next article. So by IndianDefenseReview.com. Oh wait, this should be like what, five, real quick. Yeah, like if you just yeah, and it'll pop up. There we go. Okay. Thailand's elusive and little known golden feline filmed for the first time after years of silence in its jungle habitats. I'm guessing this is from a different scenario. But let's check this out. Yeah, this is new. I think a mysterious wild cat, unseen for years in southern Thailand, has just reappeared, caught on camera in a place where experts feared it had vanished. This unexpected footage and stirring excitement among conservationists could reshape what we thought we knew about one of Asia's most elusive predators, and the Asian golden cat. Camera trap. Oh yeah, so here he is. I believe these guys get to at least somewhere around 20 to 25 pounds. A camera trap in southern Thailand has captured the first confirmed sightings in years of the Asian golden cat, Catapuma tamaikai, a rare and a little understood feline whose elusive nature has long kept scientists guessing. Brief footage released by the Thai Department of National Parks, Wildlife and Plant Conservation shows the cat strolling quietly through the Khao Muang National Park. Oh, okay, so this is a more well-known national park within Thailand, nestled deep in the country's tropical highlands. So, yeah, in some cases, you can find the Asian golden cat over 7,000 feet above sea level. The moment, just a few seconds of grainy nighttime footage, has reignited hope for the species' future in a region where its presence had been in serious doubt. I think this occurs for a lot of animals in different parts of Southeast Asia. The golden cat, although technically widespread across parts of Southeast Asia, has become increasingly difficult to track in the wild, especially in southern Thailand, where logging, poaching, and habitat loss have sharply reduced viable populations. I'd say, trafficking too. Despite its name, the golden cat. Okay, so Um, is that it? Global population estimates suggest fewer than 7,000 individuals remain in the wild, though that figure is far from exact due to limited sightings and data. Yeah, this is the typical population for most carnivores within Southeast Asia. The last time a confirmed sighting occurred in Kowloon was several years ago, and even then, the evidence was anecdotal. Hmm, he seems pretty healthy.
I was expecting a fluffy cat.
Oh no, no, there none of these cats in this region are fluffy. They just don't need to be. It's very warm. So this individual passed the trail camera on June 20th of 2025. Because of their elusive behavior and preference for dense forests, our knowledge of this species is still remarkably thin. This new footage confirms they're still holding on, which is more than we knew last year. I guess because they didn't have any footage. So the rediscovery came thanks to a motion triggered camera trap, part of a broader network installed across protected areas to document wildlife with minimal disruption. These tools, now widely used in conservation biology, have transformed how researchers track rare endangered animals. Um, okay, so there anything else? Uh, no. No. Okay. How long has is that a state or is it just talking about specifically a national park has lost 15% of its canopy or forest? Because that if that's the national park, I've heard about though with different national parks, different countries over in South America, Africa, Asia. Um, see, but anyway, somehow they lose forest. I think also possibly in some areas of Australia, which has been interesting, where like koalas are quite present. Anyway, let's move forward. Okay, another North Carolina thing. From WLOS.com or ABC 13 News, bear shot in self-defense after repeated home break-ins. North Carolina wildlife officials and one here we go. This is funny. Seriously? It occurred on a street called named Beaver Dam. That's ironic. There's probably beavers in the area, or at least there were definitely. Where did it occur? Yeah, I thought we were going to see what? Uh, okay. That was unfortunate. Oh, an Asheville resident shot an adult female black bear in self-defense after the bear repeatedly charged at their door, according to the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. So Asheville, it's not too far from the it's basically at the foothills or bottomlands of the um, Southern Appalachian Mountains, so adjacent to the Smoky Mountains. And there's actually quite a bit of footage of different like mother black bears with their cubs in the spring coming down like to people's houses. So this is quite interesting that this occurred. But anyway, the incident occurred on the evening of August 10th, following several forced entries by the bear into the resident's home that same week. What did you do? What did you have and what was on its mind? Like,
What was in the house making the bear to keep doing that?
I don't know. I mean, if it happened recently, well, that was back in August. I have no
Somebody
idea.
making, like, birthday cake?
It's possible, but yeah, they can smell all of the ingredients in the house. The commission had been alerted to the situation the day prior to the shooting, in which they determined that the bear was a threat to human safety and should be captured and dispatched. Traps were set, and three of the bear's four cubs were captured. Oh gosh, it was a mother with her cubs. The adult bear, however, was not trapped before the shooting. That's unfortunate. I was thinking it was like a male, so it's kind of like, I mean, it is unfortunate, but mm, Yeah, 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 but I thought originally it was a male, and it's just it's not as bad. In this case, it's like, oh. Now, if they're already yearlings, like let's say they're what, 20 months old, it's fine. Like they most likely will be able to make it on their own. But if they're in their first 8 months, this isn't good. If we get to the point where we're deploying traps to remove a bear from a situation, adult bears, we do not relocate. It's not a successful strategy. On August 10th, the resident contacted the Wildlife Commission to report that they had shot the bear outside their home in self defense. An investigation by the commission confirmed the residents' actions were justified and legal. What? I Okay, here's the thing. It was breaking into their home. What? Oh, I Okay, it's weird. State wildlife officials said they decided to put down the adult bear rather than relocate her because her behavior is deemed a threat to human safety. Wait a second. Did the person shoot it with a tranquilizer? And then they just came over and thought, you know what? Just don't feel like it. Just shoot it. This is sad. I don't even want to read any more of this. I don't think any of this was um yeah, geez. This is too bad. We don't know what happened to those cubs. Yeah, I've That's just anyway, let's go on to the next article. Okay, well, this sounds appetizing from cheeseburger.com. Hopefully, this isn't like some sad ending. Animal Sanctuary saves lonely water buffalo. I've never heard of a water buffalo burger. I don't even think that's possible. And if it is, well, I mean, bison are quite lean. I guess it is, but anyway, Rufus, who doesn't fit in with the rest of the herd until two more friends arrive and give him the forever family he hoped for. They've made their home in our pond in so many hearts. It's tough to feel like, okay, just get to the buffalo. Rufus. The water buffalo was saved by an animal sanctuary last year, but he had trouble fitting in with their herd of cows. It broke our hearts to see him swimming all alone, looking at the other cows, wondering why they're not joining him. Luckily, okay, they said this earlier. After an adjustment period, the three of them met. Okay, so two more water buffalo needed help, and they instantly became family. Now the three are often seen soaking in the sanctuary's pond, as happy as well water buffalo in water. Oh, oh, he's a young one. Okay, yeah, he looks pretty good. Where did this occur though? Like, I mean, I know Italy's a lot of water buffalo. I know there's certain domestic water buffalo over in Maine, like the state of Maine, the United States. Austin Farm Sanctuary, like in Texas or somewhere else. Thanks to our recent collaboration with the dodo. That was kind of shocking. Folks around the world have gotten to meet our beloved water buffalo club. No, oh, this is possibly Texas. Yeah, oh, Spanish cattle here. Earlier this year, we rescued our first water buffalo named Rufus. So here he is, and they are. Oh, Rufus. Oh, they're saying we are all as bovids. We the bovid people are created equal. Apparently, some other water buffalo disagreed. This is the video that started all just last year when Rufus, once alone, found friendship and his forever family with Sonia and Maribel. Together, they've made their home in our pond in so many hearts. Oh, another picture? But he never quite fit in with the rest of the cows. Oh, so this is where he was swimming alone? I gotta tell you though, I was imagining like kind of a horrible looking area where he was swimming. This is like I don't think he really minds. Did I just cry over a lonely water buffalo in the water by himself? Yep. Did I sob when there were three water buffalo in the water together? Yep. Again. In elementary, no, okay, whatever. He, okay. Oh, he looks pretty happy here. Coincidentally, a couple months ago, we were made aware of two more water buffalo in need of sanctuary. He looks pretty healthy. His teeth look good. Yeah. until it was time for them to join the cowherd and Rufus. Oh, okay. So here they are. This is somewhere in the hill country of Texas, just outside of Austin. Obviously, they've been getting a lot of rain too. Like this is green. That's also why you see a lot of longhorn in the region, is because they're meant for that type of environment. We weren't sure how it would go since Rufus had likely never met another water buffalo. Oh, I thought he had. Okay, wow. Oh, guess that makes sense. Okay, so here they're just playing with each other. Okay. Oh yeah, they look pretty calm. I thought they had moved him from this specific area. I didn't realize that they had just introduced the other two water buffalo to the area. I'm guessing these are all males. Wait, I thought. Okay, I'm guessing that's just a video of the pictures. So is that it? Okay. Okay. Well, it's good to hear that these water buffalo, um, are well domestic water buffalo specifically. They should have a good life with these cows. Now, it also probably helps that they're having a plentiful supply of lush grass at the moment. So, moving forward from owl.com. Oh, Alabama family finds 32 million year old sea turtle fossil. Something I will never forget.
Okay,
So,
I
a
went turtle
Oligocene,
crazy.
oh, yeah, a Oligocene epoch in age. So, around 32 million years ago. So, this is around the first 2 million years of the Oligocene. Whoa! Okay, I was expecting like a little, shell. This is an immense individual. It's like bigger than Galapagos tortoise. Okay, I might be exaggerating, possibly. Hmm. Paleontologist Andrew Gentry with Porch Creek Indians tribal member and student researcher Kimberly Gregson, standing behind the fossilized shell of the newly discovered leatherback sea turtle. Ooh, oh, that wasn't hitting me. Thinking of tortoise. Uoloca caleminarum. Gentry was first to identify the fossil after the Coleman family discovered it. A family from Mobile found the fossil of a newly discovered genus of the endangered leatherback sea turtle along a riverbank in South Alabama. And thanks to a series of events that unfolded over the last 4 years, you can see it at the McWayne Science Center in Birmingham. When we came across it, or that we all just kind of stared at each other for a minute, like this is it. We still have a great deal to learn from this fossil. To start, we need to go back 32 million years to a time when the world was coming out of a much warmer greenhouse-like period and starting to cool. The lower quarter or even third of Alabama was underwater. This actually also has to do with much of the southeastern United States, especially towards the coast. Like especially the coast of Texas, Louisiana. This is tens of millions of years before the underwater forest. A trove of fossilized trees off the coast of Alabama existed, and roughly 31.7 million years before humans existed. Leatherback sea turtles are unique. In addition to being by far the largest sea turtles in the world, their shells are made up of thousands of ossicles, tiny tile like bones instead of plates. The ossicles are held together by soft collagen, like a mosaic. This shell design is designed for deep dives. As the water pressure increases, the shell can flex to handle the added pressure. But it also means that when the turtles die, their shells usually fall apart as the collagen decomposes. Often we get a handful of isolated ossicles. Seeing an intact mosaic of these leatherback ossicles, seeing it for the first time, was certainly something I will never forget. This turtle was likely buried in sediment shortly after it died, which prevented the shell from being pulled apart by scavengers or eaten away by decomposing bacteria. Over millions of years, the sediment hardened around the shell into limestone. The shell remained intact, embedded into the boulder. It was so intact that the Coleman family from Mobile knew right away they found something special. When I got over there was no question that it was something. You could tell, but it's nothing that we thought it was going to be. Oh, okay, so here's the fossil. Hmm.
How did they even know that was a turtle?
Um, Probably just the distinct. They must have already known that, or what to look for in certain fossils. It's very possible. Okay, so Adrian and her husband Adam grew up hunting for fossils as kids in Alabama. They continue that hobby with their two kids. In 2021, the Colemans were boating down the Alabama River when they decided to stop on the riverbank to eat lunch. Their eyes were still looking or were still searching for fossils, even though they weren't actively looking. It was Tala who first spotted the fossil. We were really, really excited, but it was crazy how quiet we were that first day about it because we were just looking at everything so hard, examining everything, kind of just in awe. At first, the Colemans didn't know what to do with their find. They decided to make it their special lunch spot for a while. Eventually, the family decided more people should know about it. Adrian Coleman reached out to a researcher at the University of South Alabama, but never heard back. In the fall, in the fall of 2022, she reached out to Gentry after reading an article on him and a turtle fossil discovered in North Alabama. Actually, depends on the researchers. Some will immediately respond, and others, yeah, it can occur with professors. Gentry went with Adam Coleman to the site of the fossil. Right away, he knew the significance of the find. It took me a few minutes to collect myself and to start to begin to realize what was ahead. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, you figured that would be a pretty heavy, specimen. A leatherback sea turtle fossil being lifted out of the transport boat by tractor. Fossil is embedded into limestone, so some of the rock had to be excavated with it. In total, it weighed around 1,800 pounds. I'm not surprised by that. I'm actually kind of shocked that that was it. Gentry, okay, we found the animal. Um, oh boy. Whoa. Okay. Well, here's a restoration of the, leatherback sea turtle. Okay, it's great to know that they found a leatherback sea turtle in Alabama. Um, yeah, when it comes to leatherback sea turtles are the largest species of turtle. Um, let's see, when it comes to that, can't really think of much else at the moment, but we'll move on to the next article. It was funny with water buffalo. Okay, so moving forward from dailygalaxy.com, scientists found an ancient sea cow fossil, one of the rarest ever discovered. Scientists on Santa Rosa Island have uncovered a 25 million year old sea cow fossil that might belong to an entirely new species. I thought these were tacos. Yeah, they have that look. Anyway, um, fossil unearthed on fossil unearthed on Santa Rosa Island in Channel Islands National Park is drawing major attention from the paleontology community. Estimated to be between 20 and 25 million years old, the specimen belongs to an extinct sea cow, an herbivorous marine mammal closely related to dugongs and manatees. That's what they are. They're sea cows. What? They're not related. That's what they are. It's like, what would that be like? I can't think of anything at the moment.
Saying that a French lop is closely related to a rabbit.
Oh, yeah, and there are rabbits. It's a domestic rabbit, but yeah. Okay. Based on early observations of the skull and skeletal structure, scientists believe it could represent a previously unknown species. The discovery was first announced publicly in late 2017 in a press release by the National Park Service and has since been further investigated by the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History.
Ethan, how many types of manatee are there?
I believe there's at least 5 different species, and then there's other distinct subspecies along with it.
Wait, say that again?
There's at least 5 different subspecies species of the sea cow, or different types of dugong, and then there's different subspecies.
And they're all in Florida?
No, 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 no. There's some over different parts of the Caribbean, and then there's some off of Southeast Asia, and I believe even some off of the coast of Madagascar by chance, and off the coast of Australia.
Okay.
This fossil wasn't found by someone hunting for bones, it was more of a lucky break. 2 scientists from the US Geological Survey, Scott Miner and Kevin Schmidt, were just out on the island doing some routine fault mapping when they spotted something strange sticking out of a ravine wall. What they had found was a fossilized sirenian, a marine mammal related to dugongs and manatees. The remains were in a pretty vulnerable spot, so Dr. Jonathan Hoffman from SBMNH, I've heard of this person, and his team rushed in to stabilize the fossil before winter storms could do any damage. He even removed a small piece early on and got it ready for study. That early specimen already had the signature chunky ribs that sea cows are known for. Those helped them stay down while they chow down on seagrass, probably to help with mitigating buoyancy. So I'm guessing, yeah, here's part of the specimen. Well, it's already in plaster. Ocean. Okay, the fossil's current resting place is nearly 1,400 feet above sea level, far removed from the sea it once inhabited. That ancient marine environment existed when the Channel Islands were hundreds of miles south of their current location. Over millions of years, the Pacific plate pushed the seafloor northward and upward, exposing remnants of that ecosystem on today's land surface. The preserved bones tell a quiet, vivid story. Sea cows, known as sirenians, have heavy, dense ribs that help them stay submerged while grazing on seagrass. The specimen from Santa Rosa shows these same anatomical features. Scientists hope to examine the tooth wear, which often results from sand mixed with seagrass, to learn more about the animal's diet and age at death. Um, Yeah, there's a lot from, like, different chemical isotopes that we can obtain from different species of especially prehistoric mammals, and we can figure out a lot about what they were feeding on, and not just, like, specifically, they were feeding on certain leaves, cycads, or in this case, seagrass, but even different, species of these plants. Can also help, with looking at the environment that existed. The sea cow may have only been exposed the past few years after being buried for millions of years. It came from a different place and from a different time. Um, okay. But this big dugong isn't the only star here. Researchers also found pieces from at least 4 other sea cows nearby. Oh wow, okay, so there was a herd in this region. This that suggests this area used to be some kind of a sea cow hotspot way back in the day. Those extra fossils are now in safekeeping, and they'll be studied alongside the main specimen. That's it. Um, there's not much I can say about that. I mean, it's good to hear that we found more sea cows off of California. Oh, okay. So, I guess let's take a look at these animals. So, from worldatlas.com, see if there's anything new here. 5 endangered animals fighting for survival in Montana. The least tern. Yeah, you. I believe, yeah, there are different species of tern birds that there could be as few as 1,000 individuals. Okay, so once widespread across all major interior rivers, the least tern population had declined to fewer than 2,000 birds by the mid 1980s. That's pretty low. Most recently, across its range, its numbers have rebounded to about 18,000 individuals, nesting across more than 480 sites in 18 states. Well, that's good to hear. It's definitely a major increase. In Montana, recovery efforts have met or surpassed the state's specific goal of sustaining at least 50 adult birds. 50? I've heard of these nutty numbers coming from different states in the U.S., but actually, it's not just the U.S. A wide variety of countries. When it comes to certain animals, well, we've reached this tiny number. That's fine. No, it's Nebraska. They were doing it with cougars, and this was a few years back. Where as long as there were, I think, somewhere between 50 and 100 cougars or mountain lions in the state, they could start being hunted. I'm like, that's nowhere near enough for a sustainable, healthy, genetically healthy population. I'm like, these this is horrible. Okay, so next animal. Okay, so the black-footed ferret. Unfortunately, with these individuals, they're pretty inbred. Like they were down to a handful of individuals, and it just doesn't look very good for them anyway. Once widespread, today only about 300 to 400 wild black-footed ferrets remain across the U.S., including sites in Montana. There were about 300 in captivity of 2023. Um, let's see. The decline of prairie dog colonies due to eradication campaigns and disease like sylvatic plague devastated ferret populations, and then all the other problems. In Montana, ferrets were reintroduced at Fort Belknap Reservation 1997 and again in 2013 following setbacks due to disease. They probably had weak immune systems because of how inbred they were. Prairie dog colonies are also actively treated via dusting to mitigate plague risk. Okay. The pallid sturgeon. I wasn't expecting a fish on here. So let's see. Currently, only about 200 adult sturgeons remain in the upper Missouri River system. So, the second largest river in the United States, and they're not doing well. That is horrible. Okay, next suffering animal Kootenai River white sturgeon. How are you doing? So the white sturgeon population has experienced decades of decline, and natural reproduction has been negligible since the 1970s. The wild population is now made up of mostly older, larger fish, with the current mortality rate of 9% per year. Fewer than 500 adult white sturgeons remain in 2005. Wildlife experts estimate there may be fewer than 50 remaining by 2030. Okay, so this animal is also on its way out. Causes for the decline include Libby Dam operations, which altered flow regimes critical for spawning, while degrading food sources further limited survival. Oh, jeez. Okay, next animal, northern long-eared bats. Oh, okay, yeah, there he is. Let's see. These bats were once common across forested regions in 37 states, but their populations have collapsed by over 90%. Well, that could mean anything. Doesn't seem like they're doing well. So it seemed like the only one that seems to have a chance is that bird towards the top. I've seen that before. This is extremely sad when that occurs. But as for the other animals, it's unfortunate. Okay, so from WPRI.com, 12. Let's see. Providence deer with rare genetic mutation spotted in East Providence. Providence. Oh, Rhode Island. Okay. So over in New England, A white deer with patches of brown fur was spotted near the East Bay bike path. I wonder if he's possibly a piebald deer. Oh, yep, it mentioned it is. So he's just part of um he's part of a regular herd of whitetails. I don't remember if it's specifically albino deer or piebald deer, but it could be that albinos are more or much more rare than the piebald deer when it comes to having this type of condition. So they're like 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 10,000 that get this mutation. I know that's a huge difference. Photos provided to 12 News show the deer with mostly white fur standing on the other side of a fence in East Providence. The Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management told 12 News the deer appears to be a piebald deer. While not nearly as rare as albino deer, okay, I got that right. It's a pretty cool sighting. We have passed this observation along to our Division of Fish and Wildlife Biologists. According to a study published in the National Library of Medicine, piebaldism is a rare disorder caused by a mutation that can happen in nearly every species of mammal, including humans. Calvier, wonder what that, wonder what that looks like with people. Calvier King Charles Spaniels are an example of a dog breed with piebaldism. Well, wasn't really going to count dogs, but okay, because I should. Okay. Well, um, piebald deer, they can also be seen different parts of, I believe, New York State. I think occasionally New Jersey, Pennsylvania. They're also they can be much more common in that region, and occasionally even Maryland, Virginia, possibly even Kentucky and West Virginia. So yeah, I think they're a really good-looking animal. So basically, it's a white-tailed deer with a distinct type of color pigmentation. Okay, so moving forward, let's see what they have to offer. From NBCDFW.com, Fort Worth Zoo Horned Lizard Program prepares for largest release to date. I didn't know anybody had a horned lizard program. For decades, the Fort Worth Zoo and TCU have been working to increase the horned lizard population in the wild. Okay, so inside a greenhouse-like structure. So I didn't know also that the horned lizard population was under threat. I thought they were common. Oh, so I wonder what part of the desert they were sending him to. He's just not moving. Okay, so they got their own little cactus, uh, what rehabilitation containment container. That's funny. Okay, let's move down. Um, Inside a greenhouse-like structure at the edge of the Fort Worth Zoo is a nursery for hundreds of horned lizards. Okay, this is quite astounding. They're very charismatic. I mean, they have that cute face for a reptile. For 2 decades, the Fort Worth Zoo, along with the other zoo partners, Texas Christian University and Texas Parks and Wildlife, has been working on a conservation program to bring back the threatened population of horned lizards. This used to be something so plentiful that even people here in downtown Fort Worth used to be able to see, but can't see anymore. Okay, I guess I forgot horned lizards could be found that far east in Texas. Please tell me you're not releasing them in the city. No, 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 you're releasing them further, probably west. Okay, so the conservation project has released nearly 1,300 horned lizards into the wild in the last 20 years. On September 18th, it will have its biggest release to date. Wow, I had I had no idea. We'll have between 700 to 800 total getting released this year. And from our releases that have been going on, we're noticing our offspring are reproducing, and we're finding new offspring at the site. So we know we're heading in the right direction. Doge said the team knows that because they keep a DNA database of each horned lizard. You do? Wow. Okay. Out of all the animals they're getting DNA databases, the horned lizard. I'm glad that they're increasing in population, but there's so many other um I'm just thinking of certain mammals and maybe larger reptiles, garrels over in India and Nepal that could use the reproduction. They are also identifiable by the unique spots on their bellies. Anyway, is that it? Wait, it's not it. It's like your finger. Oh, geez. The release will take place in the Mason Mountain Wildlife Management Area in north central Texas. Oh, yeah, Mason. Okay, well, um, yeah, um, I'm happy for these horned lizards. I'll stop breeding them and do something else. We don't need more horned lizard. Um, not conservation. I mean, you do. I just meant. I don't think we need to keep breeding them in captivity at this point. Unless I need to do a little bit of a check into how rare they've all of a sudden become, and I just haven't been paying attention to my reptile buddies.
Okay, are you ready for the most amazing article yet?
It's another turtle one.
No turtle.
Okay. Is it a koala? Oh, okay. From cowboystatedaily.com. Young male moose tries, oh no, to mate with a wooden moose in Montana. Oh. A male moose became infatuated with a life sized wooden moose standing outside the Roosevelt Center in Red Lodge, Montana on Monday. He liked the statue so much he tried to mate with it. They've also, I believe they've done this with horse statues as well. Well, it is that time of year. I mean, technically, we're in the second half of the moose elk, technically even like red deer rut. So, yeah, this Shiraz moose,
I couldn't help it.
That's a male. Come on, pal. I was saying, wait a second. I'm thinking of a female moose, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, wait a second. First thing, no, it's normal. Whoa, wait a second. That's not normal. This moose has broken so many moose oaths. Uh, Residents of Red Lodge, Montana were amused Monday to watch as a moose shared an intimate moment with an inanimate object. It's worse than that. It's a male inanimate object. Anyway, a young male moose tried his luck and found a receptive partner for his. What on earth? It's a male! The only problem was that the other moose was a life size wooden sculpture of, oh, now you say it, a male moose outside the Roosevelt Center. Kevin and Joanne Owens were among the crowd who stopped to witness the bizarre encounter. They couldn't resist pulling out their cameras to catch the mating moose in action, and their photos and video of the rutting Red Lodge moose mating has since gone viral on social media. It's always somebody's first time, and this guy learned. What? I'm sure he woke up with splinters. What? The Owens were coming in to Red Lodge on Monday morning when they passed the Roosevelt Center alongside US Highway 212. They expected to see the life-size moose sculpture, which has stood there since 2020, but were surprised to find the moose had company. There's a lot of wildlife in Red Lodge, but moose are rare. I think this is just north of the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem, or part of the north. Anyway, yeah, moose are not too common in that region. Seeing this moose was a real treat for us. The real moose, a young male, was inspecting the wooden moose very closely. It was obvious there was a spark between the two, even if it was completely one sided. Gosh, no. He was sniffing the bottom and laying his head on the rump of the sculpture. This went on for quite some time. I hope some wolves get this moose. After an appropriate amount of foreplay, geez, come on, pal, or at least as much as an immature male moose would deem appropriate, he made his move. The you interview on this? Of course you did. Sheesh, how much? Okay. Did, yeah, wait, well, hold on. Is there anything else? Yeah, sure. I am calling all wolf packs in Montana to find this moose and take it out. Okay. On again, off again, controversial Wyoming. Oh, wait, by cowboystatedaily.com. Mustang Roundup off again. Oh, okay, this is a new one. The date for rounding up roughly 3,000 Mustangs in the remote Red Desert keeps being set, then postponed with summer 2026 being the latest. Horse advocates are trying to get the roundup shut down for good. I don't know how I haven't looked into how these roundups work. So, the only experience I have is the movie Spirit. Anyway, the status.
He looked awfully dirty.
Uh, Wait, and speaking of Spirit, that's literally his mother. Except that's is this another? I don't know. Anyway, okay, so somewhere in central Wyoming, the status of about 3,000 Wyoming Mustangs has turned into a continual legal back and forth. Horse advocates opposed to rounding them up have the upper hand, at least for now. Mustangs in three herd management areas have become the crux of a protracted legal battle between the Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, and wild horse advocates. So, wait, herd management areas, HMAs? Huh, I haven't heard of that. There are a large number of different um, organizations that occur for all of these different protected areas. Also, in different parts of the United States, I haven't looked into whether or not this works for different countries, but there are like these all these different hunting units and then other units within these other units. It can get overwhelming. Those include horses in the Great Divide Basin and Salt Wells Creek HMAs, as well as part of the Adobe Town HMA. The BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, wants to zero out those herds or remove all the horses from the range. Salt Wells Creek herd includes rare curly haired Mustangs. All removed horses will be transported to BLM holding facilities. Oh, one of those. Upon arrival of the facility, they will be prepared for the agency's wild horse adoption and sales programs. Wild horses that do not meet adoption age or temperament criteria may be shipped to public off range pastures. So, like, they'll just release them? Hmm. The BLM in May announced its decision to begin the roundups. The roundups were originally set to start in July and August. Horse advocates prevailed in a lawsuit in the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver to halt the roundups. That reversed an earlier decision greenlighting the roundups by Kelly Rankin, the chief judge of the U.S. District Court for the District of Wyoming. That case was won on the precedent that the BLM's resource management plan that included the roundups was in violation of the federal 1971 Wild Horse and Burro Act. I don't know what that is. Um, there have been so many acts. Like most people, well, I guess some might be familiar with the Endangered Species Act. Um, but there have been a wide range of other different conservation ones. Anyway, the 10th Circuit Court also kicked the matter back down to Rankin to remedy the RMP to comply with the Wild Horse Act. Then word came from BLM that the roundups had rescheduled for October 13th. Bill Eubanks, the horse advocate's attorney, told Cowboy State Daily. So a petition was filed in Rankin's court on Wednesday to once again halt the roundup. Oh, jeez. I guess that's them. So what's occurring? Eubanks' clients and other horse advocates argue that the Mustangs qualify as wildlife and should be managed and protected as such. However, not everyone takes that view. Some consider them to be a feral species that compete with native species such as mule deer and antelope. Some areas I've seen where horses, especially in the more desert regions of New Mexico and Arizona, they've actually helped discover water for different animals. Okay. Something about like the pronghorn's migration. Several speakers stated that feral horses were a threat to the antelope. I cannot confirm this. This was interesting, slightly. I also am not entirely sure about the whole, like how many feral horses there are in North America. I think there are possibly more though in Australia. I think there's hundreds of thousands of them occurring within different parts of Central Australia. Some though occurring also in like I think adjacent to possibly the Australian Alps, which is over in southeastern Australia, not too far from. Actually, that's where some wombats exist. Okay, so from timesofIndia.com. Runakul Pradesh records first ever photographic evidence of the elusive Palus's cat. Oh, that's nice. Hey, this guy. A recent wildlife survey in Arunachal Pradesh conducted by WWF, probably the World Wildlife Fund, India, and the State Forest Department has yielded the first photographic evidence of the elusive Palus's cat. Let's see. The survey also documented five other wildcat species at high altitudes, including record elevations for common leopard, clouded leopard, and marbled cat, reinforcing the region's status as a biodiversity hotspot. So let's see. This is in the eastern Himalayan terrain, about 4,200 meters above sea level, or what, 12,000 feet at least. The discovery of Pallas's cat in Arunachal Pradesh at nearly 5,000 meters, is somewhere around 60,000 feet, is a powerful reminder of how little we still know about life in the Himalayas. Pallas's cat, let's see. It's also found eastern Himalaya as well as adding to earlier confirmed records from Sikkim, Bhutan, and eastern Nepal. Though WWF India conducted the survey during to September last year, its findings were released only recently. The organization claimed to have deployed 136 camera traps in 83 locations across 2,000 square kilometers of rugged high altitude rangelands in West Kameng and Tawang districts, making it one of the most extensive wildlife monitoring exercises. Besides getting a photographic record of Pallas's cat, the survey documented the highest elevation records for common leopard at 4,600 meters above sea level, clouded leopards at 4,600 massel. That's supposed to be meters. Marbled cat at 4,326 meters. Himalayan wood owl at 4,194 meters. A wood owl was put on here. Maybe he's rare. And a gray-headed flying squirrel at 4,506 meters. Okay, so with all these animals, somewhere around 12 to 13,000 feet above sea level. WWF India's findings noted that the elevation records for these species were the highest in India to date and may exceed previously known global elevation limits. The discovery of Pallas's cat in Arunachal Pradesh is a milestone for wildlife research in the eastern Himalayas. Anything else? No, I guess that's it. Okay, well, yeah, it's good that we've have more information in this part of India on like clouded leopard, marbled cats, and clouded leopard. Though I guess it's not hitting me distinctively. I'm guessing this is in some of the warmer regions, possibly of northeastern India. Yeah, it's saying eastern Himalayas because they weren't like mentioning the snow leopard. No, no, yeah, they're extremely fluffy. It's probably during the winter too. Well, I guess for there, would that be taking place? Just trying to think of the time of year. Okay, so we're about to head on to our last article. So bats. From Earth.com. Bats use a hidden superpower to hunt faster. Bats do not just hunt by ear. A new study on wild common nocturnal bats shows that light changes how they chase insects and it changes their speed as well. These bats still use echolocation during the hunt, sending out high pitched calls and listening for echoes. A team from RS University and the Alumni Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research found that bats also keep functional vision. They can blend information across senses, a pattern supported by earlier lab work on multisensory integration. Turning sonar for precision, decades of research show that bats adjust call timing, intensity, and frequency as they close in on prey. This flexibility helps them track fast movements and cut through cluttered backgrounds instead of relying on a fixed pattern. Vision also plays a role. When there's even a little light in the sky, it adds information that complements echoes and helps refine tracking decisions. This is especially useful at dusk when many bats leave their roosts. To explore how bats integrate sound and light in real time, researchers tagged 21 wild common noctules, Nectilus noctule, with tiny recorders that capture light, ultrasound, and motion. Tags documented commuting flights between sites and foraging flights over open air. I'm just imagining these bats, Anyway, meanwhile, sensors tracked call intervals, call loudness, wing beat strength, flight speed, and ambient brightness, allowing the team to compare behavior in both dark and lit conditions. This is really fascinating of what they've been finding with these noctules. When the environment was lit, the bats called less often but somewhat louder. They cut call rates roughly in half and increased loudness by up to 7 decibels compared with darkness, while still in intercepting prey. Well, this is quite interesting. Huh. Approach speed rose from about 11.6 miles per hour in the dark to about 17.7 miles per hour in light. Wow. A large jump from an aerial chase. Faster approaches with fewer calls suggest that vision helped fill in key details when it was available. We showed that the bats reduce the acoustic tracking of their prey when enough light is available as complementary sensory information. We were able to reveal that this happens because the bats flap their wings more vigorously in light environments and approach the insects significantly faster than in dark environments. That's actually quite interesting. I thought it would be the complete opposite, but maybe that would make more sense considering the insects have a better or a higher likeliness of seeing them or sensing them in the light. The same study showed that commuting behavior stayed stable across light levels, indicating bats keep sonar running for short range orientation even when they can see. That pattern lines up with controlled experiments showing some species maintain signature echolocation behaviors even when light is present during target approaches. Hunting is different from commuting because prey can jink, drop, or climb in an instant. Adding vision gives another stream of information that can speed up choices without sacrificing accuracy. This is just very fascinating. Dusk is a prime time for insects, and open air hunters like noctules take advantage of that window. Street lights and sky glow, however, can create uneven patches of brightness that alter how bats balance vision and echolocation during those early hours. I bet that affects most mammals or most creatures, even the plants, possibly. That doesn't mean more light is always better. Species differ in their tolerance of artificial illumination, and many avoid bright areas altogether. Yeah, I always kind of wondered, like, what happens if a bat comes in contact, like, with, brights? I mean, I bet that has a big negative effect. Local context, such as habitat type, intensity, and insect activity, still plays a major role in shaping bat behavior. New bat-borne sensors that log sound, light, and movement at high resolution are giving biologists a way to see hunting from the bat's perspective. These tags capture moment by moment choices that are impossible to observe from the ground, revealing how animals adapt to changing conditions. By combining synchronized data streams, researchers can distinguish commuting from prey pursuit and link call patterns to wing beats and acceleration. This level of detail strengthens long-standing theories of bat foraging while showing how vision and echolocation complement one another. Echolocation samples the world in rapid pings, while vision, when light is available, provides continuous input. Together, they reduce uncertainty during fast maneuvers. Field evidence now confirms that bats can integrate both senses in real time to catch evasive prey, underscoring their flexibility in dynamic human influence landscapes. No, this is actually really nice that they're finding out about all of this. So I actually thought there would have already been studies that cover this. Now, maybe on other specific species, it's just referring to the noctule. Scientists want to know how general this pattern is across bat families and habitats. Noctules hunt in open spaces, while other species forage along edges or within cluttered vegetation. That's also what I tend to be more familiar with when it comes to bats. Future work can test how cloud cover, moon phase, and artificial light influence the balance between sight and sound. Comparative studies may also reveal how eye structure and call design shape sensing choices. Urban lighting plans can consider bat activity without compromising safety. Uh, people too. Warmer color temperatures, targeted fixtures, and darker corridors can reduce disruption where sensitive species forage. Mhm, sure. Oh, well, yeah, yeah, that is true. I confused it with like fine grained data like those in this study can help planners know when and where lighting changes matter most. Yeah, I don't think they're going to follow that. That can support both biodiversity and human needs. Yeah, sure. That's what I meant to attack. But, anyway, besides that, this is really good to hear about the bats. This is extremely interesting. Um, I I also wonder this about the insects as well, though obviously some just go right into the light bulb and get bzzzt. Anyway, um, so that's it for today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guide Live Daily News because nothing is better than all